Welcome back to The Desk, powered by Xfinity. I am Gillyweed, and joining me here is Jay Howe, and I am, in fact, standing next to him sitting.
For once, I don't feel so tall standing next to you.
Yes, you're totally standing here.
Yes, sitting.
Well, next up, we have a match between Gale Force eSports, and we also have Brain Power. So that is going to be the winner's match of Group A, or Group B.
I mean, it was an exciting day yesterday to see Brain Power come out the way that they did and take down Cloud9. I mean, they looked exceptional yesterday.
Let's look at the brackets of both of the groups so we can see where we've come from yesterday and into today. Here is Group A. Earlier on, Team Naventic took out Tempo Storm and Astral Authority 2-1 Panda Global yesterday. Then we saw both of those teams face off where Naventic moved on. Astral Authority dropped down where they took on Panda Global again, but this time with a strong 2-0 in the last match, and both of those teams move on to the semifinals.
Yeah, Astral Authority looked really good there, but taking a look at Group B, this is where we're really going to see the rest of the day start to shape up, where Brain Power did take down Cloud9 2-1 yesterday, and Gale Force yesterday at the end of the day looked absolutely phenomenal, taking on TNC, their team name change. And now we're going to see Brain Power take off against Gale Force and really see Group B take shape.
I gets to see who is going to win the group and get a little bit of better seeding going into the semifinals. But let's take a look at the schedule for the rest of the day. First off, we will have Brain Power versus Gale Force eSports. Next up, we'll have the losers match, where a lot of people didn't expect to see Cloud9 here for the group versus Team Name Change. And we'll finish the day with the deciders match from this group.
I mean, the potential there for any of those matchups at the end of the day is absolutely huge. You talk about Cloud9 and some of the things that have gone on, whether they're going to qualify and see how things go.
Yeah, the big deal for this is obviously that Brain Power in getting the victory over Cloud9 now puts Cloud9 in a situation where the best they can hope for is to go to the semifinals and hit Team Naventic.
I mean, they've got to win out, and we've seen the way that they've held their composure even in tough circumstances. It's a matter of, can they do it again? And they've had to prove themselves a lot lately, Gilly.
Well, let's talk about this matchup some more, starting with Gale Force eSports. And here they are, one of our most up-and-coming teams, we would see. They've had great success both online and offline. They made it to the semifinals at the first regional. They qualified fairly early on for both of those two, taking out Cloud9 both times.
Yeah, that's an impressive resume they've built over the last month and a half. I mean, the amount of heroes that they've been able to pull, led by Michael Udall, as well as the rest of the team, coming together in early April as Fury there, one of the deepest warrior hero pools in the game. That guy is a star on the front line.
It really comes down to how long he's been playing. He's been, Crowin, showing off the pick.
The Gale Force logo and all.
Keeping the serious face. Nice. He's ready to rock. But yeah, Fury has been such a staple in the Heroes community for a long time. He's been on different teams, and that has allowed him to keep this great hero pool since the meta has shifted so much. There was a time when, believe it or not, Muradin was not the top picked hero.
Well, there's Akaface, known for somebody named Brightwing. He's got great play. Do you know that in the competitive scene, he has only lost one game on Brightwing in the last month and a half?
It makes sense. He has been loving Brightwing for forever. You even go back to Heroes of the Dorm, the first Heroes of the Dorm, and he played Brightwing in every single game, I believe, of the Grand Finals. And that's really where I became an Akaface fan.
Akaface for sure. There was Michael Udall, of course, known for his Illidan play. We saw it on the graphic there. When you see that Illidan is one of their most played heroes, you can look for Michael Udall to make some serious plays on that.
Michael Udall, too, has been such an improved player. Of course, he made a name for himself in the first Heroes of the Dorm along with Akaface. But it wasn't until recently that he really started shot calling on their dorm team this year. And ever since then, he has really been trying to improve that for his team specifically.
He's talked about it pretty extensively, his progress from basically early March going into April, and then how much he's taken off there. But taking a look at Brain Power, this is one of the teams that, with a little bit of a shift, with Sray coming on, a very experienced member, you can see that they've had a little bit. We see Murd in there, but I tell you one thing, I got a feeling we're going to see some Anubarak today.
Oh, I wonder why you think that. First pick every single game in their last series versus Cloud9, but it worked out for them. They're able to make a lot of things happen with Sray. And the fact of the matter is, Brain Power, we weren't sure how things were going to go for them. They had to come in, immediately play against Cloud9, where Caterpillar a long-standing team member for them moved over to. And so a lot of us were wondering how it really would go. Being able to win that match, we actually got to talk to Glaurung a little bit on the stream yesterday, and he was just giddy knowing that they had won that match. And now they're potentially able to make it out of the groups in first place.
One of the things that I want to see is how well Gale Force can handle the pressure of somebody like Glaurung, who likes to be aggressive with the hero choices, his drafting, and his gameplay. And these guys can either make or break a fight. And there is their newest member, Srey, right there. That guy you talked about, first pick a Nubarak. That is something that I don't think anybody in the world is doing, but it seems to be working so far.
Right. We talked to Glaurung too, and they said that there is a meta that forms when a team scrum each other a lot, and that's something that I've developed specifically with Cloud9. We don't necessarily know if they're going to highly prioritize a Nubarak in this match with Gale Force eSports, especially since while Fury does have that big hero pool, we haven't seen a Nubarak really from them.
Iacona is known for holding on to those talents, playing some killer supports. One of the more interesting stats that we looked at is he actually has they have lengthy games, but he's not necessarily there. He doesn't have the highest average heals, but when he's there, it makes a difference, and it shows with brain power.
I think maybe some of that comes into, they've done had a time where they've done a lot of Tassadar Tyrande, and he's the one who plays the Tassadar. And that's something I talked to him about. He said he really likes playing Tyrande. She's one of his favorites, but they have a lot of Tyrande players. Faye made a name for herself with Tyrande play. Cothenluck also likes to play Tyrande. So when they draft Tassadar Tyrande together, he gets the short end of the stick and plays Tassadar, but he said he was doing some things to try to make it more fun.
Well, we'll see exactly what they could do. Sky Temple, I believe, is going to be our first map, and this is going to be interesting because it's a matter of Sky Temple being one of the ones to where we saw just in a set earlier, the proper rotations, the proper, I guess, knowledge towards how to rotate and take care of those structures really won the game, and whether these teams are taking note and what types of strategies they've evolved with as well.
Yeah, there's been quite a lot of Sky Temple just in general. The interesting thing that I have found is looking at the first regional to now, we had so many Shrines games.
Yes.
And Shrines has really not been, I think we've had one game total on Shrines so far. I was so confused by it yesterday that I talked to Astral Authority's coach, and I asked her, I was like, what is going on with Shrines? And she said that it's everybody's comfort, so no one wants to pick it because it's so risky. You give the opportunity for your opponents to play well, so they've been working on being able to have different comfort picks.
Definitely one of the most played maps, and rightfully so. I mean, it's so well balanced in the changes that they've made over time, especially the last few months. Even the regards to the first Punisher lately. I mean, it just makes it such a great map to play. But Sky Temple is another one of those popular maps, as well as Cursed Hollow, with the larger maps for teams to allow, I guess, a little bit more breathing room to strategize a little differently.
Also, one thing to always keep in mind for Sky Temple, it's a large battleground. So global heroes come into play a lot more, and if there's one team who loves their global heroes, it's the Gale Force. We've seen Dahaka from them. Of course, Falstad. They have 2 Falstad players, and Brightwing. Hello, all of them they love.
Yeah, we saw that one of the most played heroes is Falstad, and right there, the second player in line is Rafflecopter. You know, one of the more interesting things, if you look at the last 4 players for Gale Force right there, all of them made a name in Heroes of the Dorm, or at least competed in some fashion. It's just like, hey guys, Dorms is done. Do you want to group up and go to Gale Force? Sure, let's go win some games. Like, they've done phenomenal in the last 2 months.
That's actually exactly how they started. Michael Udon and Akaface wanted to be on a team together. They were taking a break for Dorm. They had known Rafflecopter. When he was on Blaze, they were friends. They had scrimmed each other a lot. I don't know if you remember from Heroes Rising, but the kiss, the infamous blowing the kiss from Michael Udon and Rafflecopter grabbing it. But they were really good friends. They wanted to be on a team together, and then found Fury and Crowan and were able to basically just hit the ground running with this team. And every time I talk to them, they just mention how good this team feels to play together. They all respect each other. Fury says they're all as hungry as I am to win, and so they have this drive, this hunger, and this desire to play together that really makes their fights go really well. Yeah,
the interview that I was able to do with them, that was everything that they stressed, every single person. I had a chance to talk to them as a team and individually. I mean, I instantly became a fan of not only the team, but of the individuals that are on that team. They're all really good people.
Yeah, they respect each other so much, and it's noticeable. But talk about respect too, and on the other side you have brain power, and these are players who have been together for a long time. When they had Cattle, they were the longest standing roster, and that gave them a lot. They had the ability to try out a bunch of different compositions and had a lot of comfort with each other. Now with Srey, he came in, we had a question about how things were going to go, and it's been going well, and a lot of it Glau attributed to how they could shot call. Glaurung's back on fully shot calling, and then it gives Srey the ability just to focus on team fights and who they could focus. And for bringing him in so late, it was great yesterday.
Yeah, I mean, when we talk about bringing him in so late, it was literally like, what, a week ago, a week and a half ago?
I think right at 2 weeks.
I mean, it's been crazy the amount that they've been able to adapt. I had a chance to sit on some of their scrims, and I was just really impressed with the way that they were able to, come together. That speaks to the experience of Srey, who's been around for a while. He's been on some top teams, and he's right back in it again here in the competitive scene and winning the first set. Moving on, trying to get another step further.
Well, guys, we are going to be right back with our draft for game number 1, so stay tight.
The demon Asmodan had his ultimate victory within reach until the opposing heroes dealt him a devastating defeat. Asmodan went back to the drawing board and rediscovered his love of the game. The Lord of Sin became the Lord of the Slam.
This is my house. Let's see if you've got game. Oh, there it is. Dude, welcome to my jam.
Overwatch. Soldiers, scientists, adventurers, oddities.
Playtime's over.
It's time to pick a side.
Overwatch. Play it on PC and console May 24th. Rated T for teen.
Now I've got a tale to tell you of the ones from long ago. There's an evil that's been dreaming, but now it's softly screaming. From the darkness, their power will grow. It's the whispers of the old gods.
Hi, friends, and welcome back to the North America Summer Regional number 2 here at the ESL Studios in Burbank. Jayhow, we are just about ready for our first draft between Gale Force eSports and Brainpower. I gotta ask, how do you think that this series is gonna go?
I think that when we look at today's bracket, and this is barring anything that happens later today, this could potentially be the most competitive series in terms of skill, hero depth, the pool, everything here. This could be the most competitive series that we see all day. And I genuinely mean that. This, I am excited about.
Oh, I am super pumped for it too. Both teams looked great yesterday. We have Gale Force eSports, who has been on the up and up every single event, and Brainpower, who has a little bit of fresh blood to help reinvigorate them. And I know that those players want to get back to the, both of them want to get back to the semifinals that they were in the last regional.
I mean, the most interesting thing with Brainpower taking down Cloud9, a lot of whispers, a lot of rumblings around here has been Gale Force is going to be that number 2 team going. If Brainpower takes it here, that's huge.
That would be huge for them too, especially because you of course want to come out of the group being in the first place position, because whoever leaves the group in the second place position, that's who has to go up against Naventic, and nobody wants to do that.
Nobody. Zuna, the self-proclaimed crusher of dreams.
Ooh.
That's what he said.
Well, Brainpower has first pick, first ban. They're going to ban Gale Thos, and we see the Illidan follow-up. I think it's very likely we could just straight up see Illidan every single time. Both teams recognize that there is a great Illidan player on the other side.
Very much so. You talk about Glaurung, you talk about Michael Udall. I mean, it's basically a toss-up. Who do you want to have on Illidan? Neither one of them.
Well, Tassadar is the pick, and we've been seeing more and more of these first pick Tassadars, recognizing how strong he is, enabling more brawling from the team. Gale Force grabs Rhaegar and Sonya, so still a lot of Sonya remaining from today.
I'm really curious if Brainpower is going to go ahead and fall into, hey, let's go ahead and make sure and pick up Uther, or whether they've got something planned with this. We've seen some Tassadar Tracer being played phenomenally by Equinox today. Anubarak already picked up Gilly. Are you sure that they don't want this to be banned out, or are they actually worried that it's going to be banned out against them now?
It might be, since they've shown it so much, if that is their concern. But hey, it wasn't first pick. It made it to the second round for them. So they at least are going to have Tassadar too to help out. And that is one thing that'll be nice for Anubarak, is he can be blown up as a hero. So having those extra shielding from Tassadar will be really helpful for them.
It's always really interesting to see how they draft. Obviously, we're looking at Faye there on the end. Actually has some of the highest average damage in the game and in the North American scene. So you want to be able to take some of those strong heroes out. Obviously, with Kael'thas off the board, are they going to try and pull Li Ming away from her? What is going to be the strategy there? But Brainpower recognizes that they don't want that to happen. They're going to go ahead and secure themselves a very strong backline.
A lot of that comes down to Faye's ability to innovate on heroes. She was the one who I first saw playing the full orb build for Li Ming, which obviously requires you to have impeccable position to get those max range orbs, and she was able to do that. She has been long known for being able to do that with heroes, playing different builds with Kael'thas in the past too, and that's been able to allow her to just, again, another person who's been in the scene for a very long time.
Yeah, you know, one of the things I do worry about with that build is you have to have a strong front line to be able to follow up, because that splash damage is real. But if you don't have a lot of follow-up, it's tough. So kind of curious to see how they're going to go with this draft and what direction, as we see a Tracer ban coming on the side of Gale Force, afraid of Tracer being paired up there with that Tassadar.
Yeah, that is a real fear after we've seen it so much. And now we'll see what Brainpower want to ban away from Gale Force. They have their warrior, so we could see like a Muradin ban here, potentially ETC. There's been so many second bans on ETC of late. More bans than he's been picked up even in this tournament.
Yeah, the fact that Brainpower goes so heavily into Anubarak, it almost makes it difficult for them to control the warrior, I guess, picks there, in the sense that they can't pick up one and then maybe ban the other, because ETC Muradin are some of the strongest ones, but they're going to go Greymane here, and I love that ban there. I mean, Greymane can absolutely change a fight, and when you have Li Ming on that backline, you got to be very careful.
Yeah, Greymane synergizes well with the Sonya damage too. It's another one of those situations where you have distractions with damage in one point, and then the other one can come in. And just controlling the bursty damage they have by banning out both Kael'thas and Greymane and grabbing Li Ming. Gale Force are going to grab Muradin for Fury, and we have Michael Udall, Iacona. So we're still waiting on Rafflecopter, as well as
Falstad?
yes, and Crowin too. Who is Crowin going to play? So I actually like grabbing Li Ming early on, not just because for Faye, but because Crowin is a Li Ming player.
Yeah, very much so. Falstad being picked up, we know that's a huge pickup for Rafflecopter. Gil, you talked about it during the team intros. The fact that Gale Force loves to have some type of global mobility. Now, what do they do to follow up with this? They already have Rhaegar. Are they going to try and secure that backline even more? Will we still see Zul? But on the side of Brainpower, that is Zeratul going into the hands of Glaurung.
They played Zeratul yesterday too, and it worked out really well for them. I think that was still the one that they were able to win. Yes, they won with Zeratul and Tracer. And what he said was you couldn't pick up like block talents against Tracer, because she just melts through them, which makes Zeratul's value increase. So you're going to get Zeratul and Uther to add to Divine Shield. There's a lot of potential to just instantly take someone out, especially if they can find some of the stuns.
I'm curious what their response is going to be. Zeratul, we saw it in a game earlier, the Void Prison basically isolating that entire front line, allowing them to blow it up. And you talked about the fact that Li Ming has so much burst potential. If those heals aren't there, what's going to be their counter? And I think right now with this 5th pick, this is their opportunity to really solidify what is already a really good draft. And Sylvanas there, I absolutely love Gale Force's draft right now.
I think it'll be Crowin playing Falstad, but I'm not for sure. Yes, and Sylvanas will be played by Rafflecopter. And so now they have the ability to siege structures down. They have a little bit of global presence, which they always love. They have some brawling with Sonya. It's a lot of things, with maybe the exception of Sylvanas. I know for sure a lot of comfort picks for them, but I know that they have done some Sylvanas play before too.
I love Brainpower because it's like the tale of two drafts when you look at Gale Force versus Brainpower. Gale Force, this is as meta as it gets. Brainpower says, we're going to do our own thing on this side. We're going to go Zeratul. We're also going to go some Manubarak. We're going to have a little bit of fun with our drafts. I absolutely love what Brainpower does, and this is the type of strategy that works for them, and not many other teams can really have the flexibility that they do.
Yeah, that's a great point that you make, Jay, how Brainpower does best when they're playing to their own style, knowing exactly what works for them, and that's Zeratul. The Leemings there, they of course have Tassadar again, per usual. That's a big one for them, and Anubarak bringing that back too. And we'll see how this is going to work, their styles versus kind of the same style of Gale Force too. I looked up and they do play quite a bit of Sylvanas, so it's kind of the same thing, a lot of comfort for them as well.
Sylvanas very strong. We'll probably see her in the bottom lane early, and we'll see how it stacks up throughout the fights. Obviously, when you talk about that wailing arrow that comes out, could be huge.
Well, here we go. We're getting ready to get into game number 1 between Gale Force and Brainpower. In the blue will be Gale Force eSports with Fury playing Muradin, Rafflecopter on Falstad, Michael Udall playing Sonya, Akaface on Rhaegar, and Crowan playing Sylvanas.
And for Brainpower, that's going to be Faye on Li Ming, Calthan Luck on Tassadar, Iacona on Uther, Srey on Anubarak, and Glaurung on Zeratul.
Let's get into game number 1 between Brainpower and Gale Force eSports.
Well, Sky Temple, Gilly, this is always makes for a very strategical back and forth between teams. And I love the calls. We saw, some really good calls in some games earlier. And I'm really curious to see these teams if they can replicate the similar rotations.
Yeah, decision-making around the temples, especially in the early game, a lot of times comes down to who has the stronger composition in the early game. The top temple allows you to get better positioning for your bruisers right before the second temple phase, but the middle one will give you more experience if you can get the whole thing with tower. So it just depends how much you can get done, but Gale Force is rotating up to try to take advantage of that early Sylvanas and get a tower kill.
Yeah, this is something we see quite often when you have that type of strong composition. We see that being warded off just a little bit, recognizing the rotations possibly coming up, but they're going in. Glaurung got to be a little careful there, Gilly.
Fury spotted out the Zeratul, he sniffed him out, and Glaurung did have to blink away, but now we see the team starting to get back into their lanes. Sonya will be moving down, and it looks like it'll be Tassadar versus Sonya in the solo lane in the bottom, trying to make some headway there in preparation for the next temple phase. But the rest will be moving back and forth, trying to get control of that watchtower just to get ready for the first one.
I love the fact that they're putting Sonya down there. It allows them, as the Impale comes out from Srey, trying to dive in just a little bit, stunned from Fury. Not a whole lot of action going to happen there, but Zeratul is like, yeah, I'm good. We'll just go ahead and back off here.
Fury has been playing a different talent build for Muradin that we haven't been seeing from anybody else. Everyone's still going mainly for the Reverberation and the Thunderburn, but he's been picking up Stormbolt talents. He gets Perfect Storm at level 1. Now with that, combining with the Infused Hammer before, it not only reduces the mana cost, but also if he can continually hit heroes, it's going to do more damage. And even getting Sledgehammer at level 4 to do some siege damage of his own.
We'll see how that pays off as the first temples are going to be active right about now. We're going to see the trade-off. Sonya staying in the bottom, Tassadar possibly rotating up, but this could be an even trade on the first phase here, Gilly.
Now, I like that because Gale Force got some damage done on towers, they are prioritizing getting this top temple. But Brainpower want to go for the fight, and Falstad moves in, looks like to the mid temple, so they know that they need to get out of here, but can they do it? Body blocks from Glaurung, looks like everyone gets away safely, and no first blood yet.
Yeah, nothing yet. We do see a little bit of exchange. We see Calthan starting to rotate up here on Tassadar. Rafflecopter trying to ward him off just a little bit as Michael Udall starting to get in position there in that middle lane to try and get some soak and be there when the team needs him.
You can see how much these teams are wanting to make sure they have this watchtower because it allows you to make those faster rotations between the two temples. Falstad has been pushed off of the mid and in the top. It's still a fight back and forth, but I like that Gale Force is pulling Brainpower back and forth, but Rafflecopter's flown up.
Yeah, it's been very interesting. Normally we see a lot of teams try and trade, not necessarily force the issue, but both teams are actually a little bit of a give and take, but at the same time, Gale Force with Sonya staying in that bottom and then rotating to the middle lane actually has a bit of an experience lead right now.
Yeah, I think Brainpower, with their potential to get picks with Zeratul, they're really trying to see if they can find somebody out of position and get the kills, but Michael Udall has been left in the bottom lane, and that makes Calthan Luck come back here to match him for the experience gain.
Well, it does look like the final shot should be picked up there by Brainpower as Srey is going to stay on point. So a bit of an exchange there. They do try and keep up just a little bit in terms of structure damage. So an even fight so far. No kills yet, Gillen.
As soon as Michael finished getting the wave in bottom, he started to go to the Giants on that side, but the rotation that Tassadar came up, I'm thinking maybe he used Oracle and spotted that out. Sonya had to go back to the lane So they didn't quite get their Giants yet, but they are at least working on their Bruisers pretty early on, too.
I'm curious if they're actually going to sit on this or whether they're going to pick it up early. Oftentimes we see teams wait just a little bit to try and time that for the second Temple phase, but they're going in with it early. Don't be surprised to see Sylvanas try and get some value with that wave pushing in the top.
Yeah, especially because they did a lot of damage to the top fort because they held a lot of the top temple. So if they can take this down now, get it right now, then they've already taken out that fort and can rotate faster to have the better positioning for the bottom temple.
Well, Brainpower does recognize this. They're bringing up the rest of the team as Zeratul starting to rotate up as well to contend in that middle lane. They don't want to give up too much soak, but they're forcing the rest of Brainpower to rotate up, giving the advantage. But Rafflecopter in a bit of trouble. Glaurung is going to be able to get away very low on both of those heroes.
All these players and all these 1v1 tournaments have been practicing their 1v1ing, you could tell. But nobody comes out of that. Still no kills, J-How. How interesting.
Not at all. Oh my goodness, Glaurung just barely able to get away. Fury looking for the kill, not able to get it, but very even so far. Will we see that rotation towards the bottom? There's Rafflecopter flying in for the siege camp at the bottom left to pair up with Sonya and try and time this.
Icona waiting on whether or not to get cleansed. I think it's very likely that we'll see that, especially with how much we've been seeing people cleanse out of the Mighty Gust to make sure that they can keep the aggression on.
Yeah, of course, he tends to do that thing to where he kind of sits and waits. They spot Glaurung, but his blink is up. He gets over the wall safely. They're going to try and push in, but the second Temple phase about to be active here, Dylan.
Experience pretty close, slightly favoring Gale Force, but Gale Force is going to grab the Watchtower and may keep Falstad up in the top lane to try to get that fort taken down. It's only Uther up here, but the Bruisers have been grabbed to try to push back that lane and keep that fort nice and safe. Rafflecopter can always fly down, but they have to remember that it takes some time. You can't fly straight from there.
It's such a long map that does make it difficult. Crowan taking quite a bit of damage. He's going to have to drop back. Hopefully he's got the well tap there. Neither team getting a huge advantage in this bottom lane, but the Temple's starting to be channeled here by Sray. We're going to see how these teams start to rotate as we see Murden trying to stay middle. Rafflecopter up top there on Falstad. When's the rotation going to happen?
Sray's a nice good hero to have on the Temple because he can always burrow charge out if Gale Force get aggressive down there. Yeah, he's stolen quite a few of the shots. Oh, Glaurung keeping tabs on Rafflecopter. He's going to start to fly and will get away. Now Glaurung has to run down here, but uses the Vorpal Blade to move quite a ways down.
Wow.
Clutch plays.
That is impressive. That is when you know they know what they're doing, and Glaurung continuing to be a menace on the backside. They're pinging, recognizing he's there, but you still have to be very careful. The amount of damage that can come out from Zeratul is absolutely scary.
Gale Force want 10 before they get into a fight, but at the same time, that's just allowing Brainpower to sit on this Temple.
Yeah, I mean, they've been sitting on it this entire time. Fury starting to rotate down, trying to contend with the Battle of the Warriors, but we see Faye continuing to land those skill shots and the magic missiles and the arcane orb. Faye is just being an absolute terror right now on Li Ming.
Faye has long been known for being able to hit money skill shots, which is why Li Ming is such a terror for her to play. But now Gale Force getting the final few shots from the Temple, and it was largely because they were about to get their heroic abilities. Brainpower recognizing that, respecting it, just backs off.
Yeah, the threat of 10 is definitely real, and they got a huge amount of value out of that Temple. As you can see, they've basically stayed toe-to-toe, regardless, giving up some of that soak there from Falstad, staying with it, but the party bush is here. Glaurung in a little bit of trouble, but they're going in, and that is going to be Iacona going down. Nice rotation, nice party bush for the first kill of the game, Gilly, almost 7 minutes in.
That is crazy, but perfect timing from them. They want to take out the well, too, just to make sure that they can reduce the amount of reinitiation. Sray is in trouble. They have some shielding.
Yeah, the Void Prison is in. Hopping into that is Sonya trying to make sure he stays alive as Michael Yudo, but Glaurung in a lot of trouble. He does blink out, but a nice dwarf toss over by Fury secures the kill. But Faye with the disintegrate in return isn't going to be able to get a takedown, so a nice win there for Gale Force.
And take the win, and they get into a fight just before Brainpower gets their heroic abilities. Had Brainpower been in a position just a little bit further in experience, maybe Iacona could have defined shielded himself. But because Gale Force found the perfect spot to grab him, they are going to get an even more experienced lead, now a full level.
Yeah, I think this is the moment in the game to where forts are ready to fall as they start to push in with the next Temple shots as well. This is where teams can really start to distance themselves. So look for Gale Force to try and get aggressive, but not too aggressive until they hit 13.
Now with all of the Anubarak play we've seen, it's all been Locust Swarm pickup, trying to give yourself a little bit of self-sustain through those fights, especially if people start to group up. And there's quite a few melee on Gale Force eSports side with Rhaegar maybe being in there too, although I'd be scared to jump in there as a dog.
I don't blame you one bit. Using Sylvanas and the camp to go ahead and push in, take down a fort. That's going to be a little bit of experience in their advantage. We're going to see how much they rotate this over. Of course, with Sylvanas, if the team doesn't rotate, they can see that this camp is being picked up. They know they have the advantage, Gilly.
Yeah, I really like this. They lose their Giants, but they know that there are so many people down there because Fury had spotted it out that they're walking away with keep towers, and that is even more experience than a fort. And it looks like Fury is coming up, so maybe the Giants can take down the fort, but they're still going to be in a good position, especially with nearly grabbing 13 for this temple phase.
Yeah, they know that they have Mighty Ghost as the disengage. They're trying to isolate Srey, who does go in.
Oh!
But look at that Void Prison, Gilly. Can they get the follow-up? We do see Fury out of position, but Rafflecopter going to be the first to fall. The reset's coming in on Faye. Look at Fury's health going down. He dwarf tosses over. The Impale does help secure the kill there on Michael Udall. Huge win right now for Brainpower, and they're not done. Fury in all kinds of trouble. Can they follow up here, Gilly?
They're trying for it. There's the burrow charge from Srey. Ancestral Healing keeps Fury alive, and Srey's kind of slowed down, but gets away. Will be able to step out, and that's all 5, and that's what they needed because the temple phase has started, and it's going to be a little bit until everyone from Gale Force is back up. Falstad can fly into the fight pretty quickly, but Sonya, it'll take her a bit to run to wherever they want to go.
Well, that Mighty Gust looked good originally, but as you said, with that burrow charge from Anubarak that allows him to get out of tough spots, he turned right around the minute they realized they had that advantage, but that Void Prison,
The Void
Gilly,
Prison.
that was crazy.
That was huge. It was a 4-man, and then only Fury. He can zone to his heart's content as Muradin, but you're not going to be able to zone away everybody when your other teammates are caught in a Void Prison.
Well, we see a little bit of an even exchange here, but making up a little bit of that experience gap was Brainpower, trying to stay with him just a little bit as the rest of the members from both teams actually doing a little bit of soaking right now.
So Li Ming has Glass Cannon at 13, which of course makes her a little bit more vulnerable, but with both Anubarak and Zeratul being aggressive, they can feel fairly safe to do that because they know that the focus is really going to be on trying to make sure that they know where Glaurung is so they don't get caught with a Void Prison that big again.
Yeah, the fact that they only have Sonya that really has that hard engagement to try and get to that back, it actually leaves Li Ming to be much safer and a lot more potent, and we've seen Fate land some killer shots already. Look for more to start coming out now that they're here at 13.
Yeah, no leap this game, unfortunately, but we did get one, so that's pretty cool. All right, so Glaurung is capping these bruisers in the top, and the boss is available, but of course, Brainpower, they're always going to be scared to go after that, even if they maybe get a kill, because Falstad is there with Mighty Gust.
Yeah, the two neutralizers for that, Void Prison on one side,
yes,
Mighty Gust on the other. We'll see how that plays out and whether there's a moment. And when teams get a pick or two, that's normally when we see them rotate down, but looking for a little bit of a flank here. Srey getting to the back line. The Impale is out. Kron gonna be okay. Trying to haunting wave out of there. He's gonna be just fine.
Brainpower is still down a level, and they know that if this continues in this fashion, they'll be down the talent tier of 16, which is a huge talent tier, potentially right around another temple phase. And that's where things could get really risky. You know, if it's a bottom and top and the boss is free, we could see teams do that. So they're doing whatever they can to make sure that they're aggressive during the time they can be, looking for picks, taking out a fort, just whatever they can do to get the experience back.
Yeah, the amount of commitment that Gale Force has shown rotating with Sylvanas in those camps to that structure damage has allowed them to get max value out of every single temple. And if it's a war of attrition, it's already in favor of Gale Force. So you basically have to look for some type of pick, but 16 about to be here for Gale Force. Gilly, we're probably not too far away from the next temple phase either.
As you say it, it's like you knew. They're grabbing Watchtower so they can see. It's top and mid, so that helps a lot too. They also got the Giants in bottom knowing that they weren't going to get those picks, so it buys a little bit of time. They have a level to make up. They're going and soaking as Zeratul safely soaking in top while the rest get the mid. And they have now spotted out that the boss is here. Zeratul is going to try to run as fast as he can.
Did Zeratul show it top? The Mighty Gust is there, but the Divine Shield was used on Anubarak to allow him to stay on point. Michael Udall gets the Ancestral. He's in deep, but Anubarak staying in. The Wailing Arrow in return silences the members, but we do have Fury very low. Can they get the follow-up? Michael Udall trying to stay on point. Srey solo staying on Michael Udall at first to fall, but they're returning the damage. Uther goes down, but the kills are coming out here, Gilly. 3 members down from Gale Force, and Brainpower doesn't look like they're done, but nice flight out by Rafflecopter.
The flank and the Void Prison from Glaurung was so good, and there were 2 people who were low and only 1 Ancestral to give, so Fury was very low. Obviously, they ended up losing Sonya and Rhaegar and even Sylvanas, and the kills, because Brainpower were close enough, it got them to 16. They grabbed their talents, all except Iacona, because he's Iacona, and then that helped them get to the point where they could do a lot more damage. Mirror Ball came out. Also, also the Rending Cleave from Zeratul too. So they had what they needed to be able to take that fight, even though it started with them down at 15.
This is such a huge momentum shift right now in favor of Brainpower. Not only have they made up the experience, but those kills are allowing them to get shots from both temples right now.
Now they've grabbed both of them, and they're burning them down pretty fast. They're both about halfway. Gale Force just now with everybody up, having to clear out waves even to get here. And once they show, Zeratul leaves. Anubrak can finish this temple, and potentially they can move up and fight, but Gale Force really want to get in the fight now. And look, Brainpower have gotten all the way back up in experience where they were behind for a lot of this game.
Yeah, Brainpower, they took exactly what they earned. They got it. They got a lot of temple shots out of it. They rotate back. They're healing up. They look at the shields out there from Tassadar. That's a huge buffer to get into a fight, and they look like they're ready to engage.
Here goes the fight. Structurally, they're about even, but Brainpower got a lot of damage done to one of the keeps. All the heroic abilities are online, and Flowron can find the perfect spot for a Void Prison, and there is one. It hits one. The Mighty Gust comes out too.
Yeah, nice Mighty Gust there as we see the Divine Shield was used on this right. Michael, getting stunned out. Not enough damage to follow up just yet. And Fury very deep on the back line, but so is Sray. Now we see the rotation back. Nice Ancestral lands on Rafflecopter, but very low right now is Gale Force. They're having to drop back. This is another win for Brainpower as they continue to put Gale Force on their heels.
Gale Force just doesn't know where what to do. They're dealing with Zeratul and the Anubrak, both coming at them from different angles. The Li Ming is in the back, throwing down tons of damage the whole time. They're scared that if they lose one kill, they're going to instantly be able to snowball it too because of critical mass, resetting Li Ming's abilities. So they're having a tough time. They're taking damage really, really fast and just having to disengage off of that.
Michael Udall is known to be aggressive, and he stays aggressive. The problem is the rest of his team is being isolated, as you said, by Anubrak and Zeratul, keeping them back and separated, not able to follow up on anything. And that is a huge advantage for Brainpower in the last few team fights.
That's something that had happened to them in the last regionals too, is it sometimes seemed that Michael Udall was ready to go and out really far, no matter who he was on, 1v1ing and doing really well, but the rest of the team would be getting isolated or would be in the back. Something that I always try to keep in mind with Gale Force is together we conquer, divided we fall. Because if they can stay together and make sure that they're focus firing down, they can instantly blow someone up, especially with the Wailing Arrows.
Well, we see Glaurung looking for the flank. He still has another 10 seconds left on his Void Prison, so possibly looking to go and at least get a little bit of poke in. For now, he goes in the back. Look at the amount of damage he's able to do. He took out Crowan almost half of his health, almost instantly.
Yeah, a lot of this too comes down to the fact that it's double support versus single support too. Brainpower has Tassadar shields. He's been constantly remembering to shield everyone up prior to the fights. And then that helps out even though Uther has long cooldowns. And that is even shortened by getting hardened focus. So now his cooldowns will be even less now.
I mean, that's a huge advantage, as you said, but look at the amount of damage. Mirror Ball and Arcane Orb with those magic missiles. Fury, he's forced to retreat. No, he goes down. The blink back in, or maybe that was the Vorpal that goes in. Glaurung coming in, being very effective. Crowan gets blown up, and now we see under pursuit right now. Akaface trying to get out of there, but nice disengage with the Mighty Gust. Akaface trying to get out of there, but another huge win for Brainpower.
Now they're just struggling to keep people alive at this point. And this keep is low. It will get taken out, and that's not only a big experience boost to Brainpower, but we're on Sky Temple. The structures are your team's health, and there is a temple that's active.
The biggest thing about that, as you said, those temples will take down the structures, but they also open up an avenue. If they get another takedown, a couple of takedowns like that, that gives them a free shot towards the core. And look for them to be aggressive as they have been this later half of the game.
And Brainpower has a double support composition, which means they don't mind having these more drawn-out fights around the objectives. Drawn-out fights now are doubly bad for Gale Force. Not only do they not have a double support, but they're facing catapults in one, potentially two lanes.
I mean, this looks like potentially to be second keep of the game. That's going to go down. Level 20 is picked up, and Gale Force in a very tough spot because they can't necessarily try and engage upon that. And looking to rotate down, it looks like we might have a possible engagement. Glaurung continuing to be aggressive. Look at him going in on Rafflecopter, who's very low. The Mighty Gust used maybe a little bit early there, Gilly.
Now, Raffle's already used that. There is a force wall, but Michael Udall can use Mystical Spear to get over that, make sure to stay safe with his team. But Brainpower are forcing the issue. They have 20 talents. There's no 20 yet for Gale Force, and they're going after the boss.
I mean, the fact that Falstad just uses Mighty Gust means they can't take this. They can't necessarily force them off. Rafflecopter now being called upon to fly down, but he doesn't have the Mighty Gust. But Fury doesn't want to give this up. Void Prison leaving Fury isolated. 3 members stuck in there for Gale Force. Michael Udall and Fury deep on the back line. Fury taking a bunch of damage. Look at Faye continue to poke. The Ancestral has landed on there on Muradin. Michael Udall being forced back on Sonya, but Glauron going in. Down goes Michael Udall. Will we see another fall here, Gilly?
Yeah, the Impale hits Crow in, and he's using what he can to get away. He and Akaface are just trying to get back. They really need to not lose very much more, but I'm not sure what they can do without 20. She uses Haunting Wave to get back. Akaface still alive, gets hit by the Impale, but back behind the keep, but they will work on bringing this keep down, and right behind them is the boss.
I mean, this is huge right now. That boss has had no resistance. Fury trying to ward them off. This is a full health boss. This keep is about to go down. Gilly, this is a tough spot. Brainpower looking to finish.
They are. They've got a very healthy boss still, indeed. Gale Force almost has 20 talents, but I'm not sure what they can possibly do, especially with Sonya still down.
Mighty Gust is back up. Rafflecopter taking a bunch of damage, but he is going to be able to get out of line. We do have the Mighty Gust still available. They're going to need this for the disengage. The shield's going down. The health of the core dropped to 60% right now, 50%. Will we have the disengage? 30%. This is going to be GG as the boss helps secure game number 1.
GG's and Brainpower pick up game 1 in this best of 3. Now 1 game away from getting to move on. Getting to take a breath too. You know, we talk about getting a first place out of your group. It's an extra set of games you don't have to play and show any strategies to your opponents.
Look at the grin there on Sray. He's like, I feel pretty good about that game. A Nubarak.
I got to play a Nubarak again. Yay.
Feeling pretty good right there. Brainpower, talk about a tale of 2 halves. The second half of that game was completely dominated by Brainpower.
Yeah, the first half, it went a long time before we even really had a kill. It was slow, but here you can see the heroic abilities. Brainpower is a Sray going in there, but the Void Prisons were just so important. The fact that, I like that we slowed this down even.
I mean, this hits right in here. Rafflecopter goes down immediately, and the rest of the team just stuck in there. They're trying to be aggressive, trying to ward them off. Michael Udall is going to get caught. Another Impale there. I mean, this is just phenomenal play by Brainpower coming out every step of the way. And now we look at the boss fight. This is where things really started to hurt Gale Force. And we saw the Mighty Gust was down. They tried to stay on point here, Gilly. It was a tough fight.
Yeah, there were 2 tough boss fights for Gale Force. They had people there. This one even, they had more people before Zeratul could get there, but his flank was great, and the Void Prison, again, was really integral to the fight. The fact that he could slow down the rest of the team and try to isolate people away, give his team time to take someone out. But I think a lot of it really comes down to the fact that you saw how much damage was coming out of Brainpower just from Zeratul and Li Ming. They could do a lot, and they had double support to back it up too, whereas they had a lot of potential damage for Gale Force, but they struggled just to stay alive.
Yeah, I mean, I love the look on Michael Udall's face. He almost looks irritated that he lost that match, and it looks like he's already ready for redemption. I mean, he looks so focused. I love the look that he don't need to get too down. That was a tough fight, and Brainpower played really, really well. And Gilly, Brainpower, first series, now coming in here against Gale Force, they're looking extremely powerful here.
Can you imagine what it was like, especially for Glau, who yesterday said, well, obviously he feels great.
He feels good.
Yeah, he came in and he said, that was the first time that I've beaten Cloud9, of course, in a tournament setting, in a year. A year
Wow.
of being the underdogs to a team, finally getting that victory. I can't imagine you coming in here and not feeling like you can just take the whole thing.
I mean, after that, I mean, it's just, I don't know if it's change of attitude or what. I mean, obviously they went against Cattle, but it is going to be game number 2 here on Cursed Hollow, as it does. Look at the first ban, Gilly.
Oh,
look at that.
It has started. Finally, we see
What?
a Nubarak ban from Gale Force versus Brainpower. So now we'll see what Stray plays when a noob is not available.
I mean, this is history in the making, seeing a Nubarak as first ban here. That is an ultimate respect ban.
So with the Rhaegar ban, Tassadar is free, so is Illidan. Illidan was not up last game, so I love how Brainpower have played this out. Because what do? Do you take Tassadar and just know that your opponents are going to get Illidan? This is Cursed Hollow. This is a great battleground for Illidan.
I mean, these are two bands that we don't normally see. Will we see a first pick Illidan or first pick Kael'thas? Keep in mind, if one team doesn't pick Illidan, you can guarantee that Brainpower will not hesitate. But Michael Udall says, give me something different. Give me Illidan.
Yeah, when it comes to Kael'thas, I think Gale Force would prefer to have Li Ming, to be perfectly honest. It's not
You're
that
right.
Crowin can't play Kael'thas. It's just that when you have someone that you are that comfortable with, if you can get him, why not? But Brainpower, they have Faye. Faye loves Kael'thas. They're going to grab him and Tassadar away from Illidan.
Can we see the battle of Crowin versus Faye? Li Ming versus Kael'thas. Look at that. Look how quickly they're moving through this. With this different band strategy, they know exactly what they want. And these are all very strong picks for both teams.
I love the Rhaegar too because they know that Gale Force is still going to be tempted to get Illidan. So what do? We take things away that bolster that. They can't pick Illidan and Tassadar because we're going to get Tassadar in our round. We ban out Illidan, and now they're taking Brightwing away too.
And that means Brainpower has Uther in their hands to pair up with Tassadar. Who does that leave Gale Force with? That is a scary prospect when you have Brightwing off the table. Uther and Rhaegar already going to be one banned, one picked up, Tassadar picked up. That leaves you with Tyrande and who? Or who solo heals Illidan? This is brilliant strategy by Brainpower.
It's great. It's
brilliant.
so good. Now, ETC is going to be banned, so Gale Force at least are going to say, we have a strong warrior, so we're going to take out ETC. And now, yeah, so Karazim is maybe one. Man, I don't know. Karazim probably, because we're talking about Akaface. He does play Karazim. Do they do like Karazim Abathur?
Ooh. Is that what they want to put this round on? I mean, they lost game one. Are they going to play it safe or are they going to go for the home run? I mean, that's the biggest question is, do they feel that way? But picking up Zeratul once again. Gilly, I think I might have talked about this earlier, but Zeratul in the competitive NA scene in the last 2 months has lost a total of 3 games.
Yeah, he's a sleeper pick for sure. He's not lost very many games. He's been played not a ton though, right? So it's obvious that we could
enough to matter.
be seeing, yes, oh yes, definitely. It's more like we could be seeing a start of a lot more of him.
I mean, there was a while where Zeratul was there. He took a little bit of a nerf, and everybody fell off, and then he kind of came back a little bit. And he tends to pop up at tournaments like this, and going directly into Karazim is going to be Gale Force. Do they go Tyrande on that back line to get some extra damage, get the Hunter's Mark to be able to burst somebody down?
But Zeratul,
this is tough. This is a tough spot for them to be in.
she has no escape.
Uther at least
super
has
squishy.
vision. I mean, not Uther. Karazim has some vision.
Well, it's
at
taking
7.
Foresight.
Yeah, I mean, do they want to pair up somebody that might have a cleanse that could go well with Karazim, or are they just going to go solo Karazim? I mean, this is an interesting matchup. Zeratul versus Illidan. It's something that I saw quite a bit, is when somebody would pick up Illidan, other teams would pick up Zeratul and say, okay, we'll trade.
In Zeratul, they have Tassadar, so there's no hope of not only Tassadar shields, but Oracle to help out with vision and being able to reveal Zeratul. They have Divine Shield. They have so much for him. We're just waiting on who Srey will play, but Gale Force, they know this is a strange predicament. They're in a pickle.
I mean, I almost feel like Brainpower baited them into that. The fact that they picked up Murden with that second round of picks basically, I guess, threw a huge wrench into Gale Force's draft. I mean, that was such a huge draft play. I mean, if Brainpower wins this game, it comes down to the draft.
Well, going back to an old standard, grabbing Falstad, and now who will Srey play? When he was on Timbo, I think he played a lot of Johanna. Johanna is one who is still available here. There's no ETC. He's been banned. Murden has been grabbed. Tyrael is free, but Arthas.
The return of Arthas is real.
And again versus Illidan. At 13, he has the attack speed slow with Frigid Winds. I have to say, Brainpower played this out so well.
Things are looking really good for Brainpower. They took down Cloud9. They are 1 up on Gale Force right now, looking to move in, continue to move into the winner's bracket, and move on to tomorrow. I mean, or excuse me, later today. I mean, this is just right now. Brainpower looking so good. And Cursed Hollow, I mean, there's so much playmaking potential. 2 bosses on this map. I mean, this is I told you, this was going to be a phenomenal series. I would not be surprised if we go to Game 3.
I wouldn't be surprised, and I wouldn't be sad, because that would be super fun. But still, it's on Gale Force eSports to get us there, Jay-How. And with the way this draft went, Brainpower showed they have a lot of power in their brains to get here.
Cawthon warming his hands up. He said, I'm ready. Just give me the game. Let's go.
I'm ready to play some Tassadar.
Tassadar, surprisingly, he's so sneaky. He does a little bit of damage. He's got his shields. He's got his force walls. He makes so many plays, but he's like the most underappreciated hero of the bunch. It's up to Li Mings and Kael'thas to really make things happen.
When you get some good force walls, though, that's when he shines. But here we go, guys. In the blue is Gale Force eSports with Fury playing Muradin, Rafflecopter on Falstad, Michael Udall playing Illidan, Akaface on Karazim, and Crowan, of course, playing Li Ming.
And in red, once again, is going to be Brainpower, and that's going to be Faye on Kael'thas. Calthan Luck on Tassadar, Iacona on Uther, Srey on Arthas, and Glaurung once again on Zeratul.
So get excited because here comes game number 2 between Brainpower and Gale Force eSports.
Cursed Hollow, Gilly, game number 2. Gale Force does not want to go to the losers bracket. They are deemed basically the I guess, second right now to Naventic, and so far game number 1 didn't look that great, especially late game, but they have experience, they have talent, and let's see if they can turn it around here in game number 2.
And of course, they have some comfort picks, but again, I'm worried about how things shook out in the draft. Brainpower has shown that they are really doing very well, especially in the way that you guys have voted in the poll. There's still time for you to vote, so make sure you use the hashtag HGC and tell us who you think is going to take it.
I mean, I actually didn't expect it to be that much of a disparity between the votes there, but keeping an eye on Glaurung coming over trying to steal that vision, not so much.
Okay, this Arthas build I really want to talk about. So Srey, don't get too aggressive so I can actually talk about how cool your talents are. He went for Frost Presence at level 1, which means if Howling Blast hits a target, it reduces the cooldown by half, so 5 seconds. It's something that I saw Caterpillar playing with, and I really loved it, and I asked him about it. He was playing in the second warrior position, and he just said, I think it's the only talent to go. You have so much control with how many times you get the roots. And later on, he even took Trail of Frost at 13, so we'll see if he follows with that. Or, of course, if we have Frigid Winds to slow down attack speed.
Yeah, that'll definitely allow Srey to make some plays if he can land those. It's contingent on somebody landing those. As we see the laning phase here, that's going to be Illidan going up against Kael'thas in the top lane. It's kind of an interesting trade. Not something we typically see 1v1.
Yeah, that is a strange one, but at least Faye does have gravity lapses if she gets in trouble, can hope to land those, but we'll see, you're trying to play pretty safely. She also went for Felon Fusion. We have had almost exclusively Mana Addict as of late at level 1, but Faye doing Faye things, marching to the beat of her own drum and grabbing Felon Fusion, not only for some self-healing, hello!
Oh, and Glaurung pinged it, knew that it was coming. That is experience right there.
But he gets away. No first bloods yet. And Kael'thas will have the increased ability power, which is, again, even more damage that she can put out in a bursty style like that.
No sneaky business today. Too much experience going around. That's why I love these teams. Sometimes they're cautious, sometimes they're aggressive. And when they're aggressive, a lot of times it makes it a little bit easier for people to counter because they realize, hey, we know exactly what you're doing. That shows that they have been around, they know what they're doing. 2-minute mark, siege camps are up, other camps are up, and they are focusing right away.
Illidan not heading there yet. Instead, Gale Force are being sneaky, going after their bruisers. So they're going to have those pushing, which means the next phase they could have the Giants. So just trying to shake things up a bit, maybe throw Brainpower off in the laning phase.
And now we see the first tribute is spawning. The camp has been picked up in favor. The siege camp on one side, the bruiser camp going to be picked up on the other. It's normally something we see the siege camp, especially if you can get the tribute to spawn on your side of the map or at least far away from where your minions or your camps are going. But first tribute spawn here, Gilly.
Let's see how they are able to group up for this. Kael'thas is still in top and Uther in mid, so it might be where Brainpower just want to give this up and allow themselves to stall this out safely as long as they can and get the experience advantage for later tribute fights.
It's something that I actually love when teams do, especially this early on. The first tribute, if you can get that experience late, it actually makes it easier for you to get the forthcoming tributes and be able to get that first curse. And as you talked about, if they can just delay, that's exactly what they're doing. They have the comp to do it.
Srey, just as long as he keeps hitting these Howling Blasts, can almost just interrupt them by himself. There's a good Death Coil too, but okay, Gale Force have had enough of this. Srey is going to get pushed back as Rafflecopter comes in.
I mean, do you think that's the strategy, as you pointed out, for the level 1 talent, to be able to just delay as much as possible? I mean, you have Tassadar, you've got the cooldowns there. I mean, it's a brilliant strategy so far. We'll see if they can follow it up throughout the game. But Li Ming getting very low. Crowan is able to teleport away just in time.
Woo, that was a little too close for comfort, but the tribute has been picked up. So Gale Force at least went out in that. But look how long it took and what happened. Brainpower have not only taken out a tower, but they are a full level up and grabbing level 7.
I mean, that is just brilliant play. Faye stayed in the top on Kael'thas. And Gilly, you called it as soon as the fight happened. I mean, as soon as it started, and look, they almost have a full level lead now.
Yeah, they have it's amazing. With that Frost presence, Brainpower actually have a lot of safe poke between Deathcoil and that to try to take those and make those go as long as they can.
It used to be an interesting thing because a lot of people would take Johanna to be able to get that shield glare in there and continue to poke, but Arthas team tends to be a little bit more favored in the new meta, and it looks like he's got a little bit of tools of his own.
Well, I want to take a time to talk about a couple of talents, as long as Rafflecopter doesn't die here. Michael Udall's here too. Glaurung goes in the baits. The baits were real. Michael takes out Glaurung.
That was very well played there, Gilly. Next tribute is up in a 5 versus 4 advantage. Could this be tribute number 2 already for Gale Force?
Yeah, I think so. Their positioning is really good for this. There are short respawn timers, but nobody is going to stall this out. So now they are on curse point. So well played, at least being able to get that first blood too.
I believe you want to talk about a couple of talents, and I think we looked at these on the monitor.
Yeah.
I really want to take a look at these right now because we're seeing something a little bit different.
So I've seen a few times hammer gains get picked up. It's basically Vigorous Assault, but it is Falstad's unique one in that instead of healing for 15% of basic attack damage, you heal for 20. So he's giving himself some self-sustain. I think this is adaptation, knowing that they had trouble keeping people alive in the last game.
Rafflecopter trying to get the jukes in. He does manage as the rest of the team rotates down to basically ward off the oncoming attack and be able to stay alive there. But interesting call. It's actually something that I don't think we've seen yet, at least in the competitive scene, but an interesting build coming out nonetheless.
Yeah, there was one yesterday.
Okay.
And there's been occasional ones, but it's still definitely not the preferred one quite yet. Also, Astral Presence for Li Ming. A lot of times we'll see power hungry, but knowing that there's going to be a lot of long fights around the tribute points where there might not be orbs available, instead we're seeing her grab this so that if she does start to go down a lot in mana, she can get that, regenerate that back up without having to leave the fight.
Well, the curse is up in favor of Gale Force, but level 10 right on the cusp here for Brainpower. Look for them to try and soak just a little bit to be able to defend against this, but going in hard right now, this is going to allow them to close that experience gap and try and get level 10 themselves. Gilly, this is a good play right now for Gale Force.
Right, they need to definitely close that gap because if they can't get heroic abilities and they get engaged on, then they potentially could not get enough to make this curse valid. But the nice thing is, it's not like they're using a curse and then down 2 to 3 tributes. They got 3 right in a row, and now with taking out that 4th, they have gotten their heroic abilities, so they're caught right back up.
Yeah, back to back to back there. 3 tributes lead to that curse, and you can see they're taking full advantage of it. And there's the vision we talked about, trying to get a little bit of vision to see what's going on there. And just a good way to kind of keep an eye on things, as Uther says. I'll spec into this.
It seemed like Akaface was wondering about Palm or 7-sided strike, but I'm glad that he went for Palm because between the Gravity Crush Kael'thas and Zeratul, the burst damage is real. There is a lot of potential for there, and Brainpower see that Gale Force are trying to take out their boss.
Well, Falstad, remember, does have that Mighty Gust. We actually saw a little bit of that play before, and we are going to see, oh man, this is going to be a huge fight as Dwarf tossing over is Fury, but Glaurung staying in full assault.
Raffle just flew across
go,
the screen. It's like, hey guys, bye guys. It's fine, I was just going to soak the whole time. It's not like I tried to fly into this fight, we're good. All right, but they do at least stop them from picking up their giants, or their boss, I'm sorry.
It just...
it was kind of funny, it just like flew right through.
Oops, missed my landing. But level 11 picked up a slight lead, but Gale Force closed the gap. The next tribute should be coming up here soon, but focus on camps and a refocus here on the boss once again by Gale Force, and it's going to be sniffed out once again by Brainpower. Let's see if they actually stay on and try and commit here.
I don't know if you saw, but we have Clairvoyance for Uther on Iacona, and so no cleanse available there. There is a big Void Prison. It hits 2 people, but Li Ming can throw out the damage to try to zone away. There's a big Gravity Lapse.
Yeah, that's the huge follow-up they were looking for, as we do see Zeratul going in hard on Michael Udall there on Illidan, but on the backside, Rafflecopter under a lot of assault, trying to return some of that damage. So low right now is Gale Force. They're trying to back off, regroup. That is 2 failed attempts so far on that boss.
Yeah, they've been able to stop them twice from that. They're taking some damage in mid against those towers from the Bruisers. We should have some tributes spawning pretty soon though, and that means that if they've been able to stall this out long enough, they've just, instead of like trading out boss for boss, they've just said, none of us get them, none of us.
We're not going to give you yours, you're not going to take ours, we'll just continue to fight here. And you see the priority towards the rotations, trying to keep an eye on everything. And right now, Brainpower just has such a strong comp to be able to get that burst damage in. And it's basically keeping Gale Force back from trying to overcommit to anything, to where normally we'd probably see them stay in and commit to something like that.
I thought they were going for the boss because Void Prison's down, and especially since they see Zeratul up in the top lane. But they are emulating the Chinese teams now and just hanging out, going for a little Chinese bush meta, but not finding anybody caught in rotations. They know they need to catch somebody outright. They're a little bit behind in those 13 talents.
Well, Cawthon Luck, he is going to be able to shift out and be alive. But the stun comes down. They catch him right before he gets behind the wall and gets the takedown, Gilly.
That was a Tassadar, but no prescience yet. Right before 13, realizing that they could do that where normally it's not a thing you can do versus a Tassadar.
Well, that basically sets them up there, instantly going for the boss. They know that they have a 5 versus 4 advantage, and there's nothing that Brainpower can do about it. They're finally getting the boss. There's Clairvoyance.
Yep, it's showing them at the boss. It's also, obviously, the tribute is spawning right by there. Gale Force don't have 13, but Brainpower does. Brainpower has not even started the rotation up to their boss at all.
No, and that leads Gale Force to continue to go ahead and rotate up. They're still not 13, but they don't care. They're starting to take a little bit of control of the map by getting that boss, and now they're rotating up instantly. We do see Glauron continuing. He'll be able to scout this out, but will his team be able to rotate? They're showing on the map on the bottom. Glauron doesn't even go. They probably already know Gilly.
Yeah, there's a fairly big wave of minions in the mid, too, and I love that Falstad is continuing to push with this, taking out the well here. Glauron maybe doing some damage, but the well will get taken out, and all this time his teammates are at the boss, so he always could fly in for the big Mighty Gust to secure it if he had needed to. But of course, Brainpower dealing with the boss on one front, a Falstad on another. They're just gonna have to let this second boss go too.
Well, they're gonna go ahead and rotate over, try and get some early structure damage in to try and make more value out of this boss. And you can see they already took down one tower, did quite a bit of damage, and Li Ming continuing to poke away. They don't need to stay too long, as we see Fury starting to get caught out, trying not to spread that chain bomb there with that living bomb.
Well, they're still behind in experience, so they need to be cautious about this, especially with this flank from Glauron. But Michael Udall, he has spotted it.
Wow, the immolation basically says, hello, nice to meet you. No Void Prison coming out on that back side, and now they might see him once again. The hammering is there with the Void Prison being used to try and save him. Disintegrate, can Akaface try and follow up? Glauron, nice blink over. Will he try and stay in pursuit? Metamorphosis making up the ground, takes down Glauron.
What a play! They take out Glauron. He tried his best to get away from them, but with that, they not only have gotten Zeratul, but Void Prison too.
Wow, that was a huge win right there. Man,
so good.
I mean, that Metamorphosis play, that was probably the only way they could make that up. But you see a now rotation. They have captured every single tribute, and they're going to get another one here, Gilly. Going to be one more away from another curse.
Right, and as long as they can try to maximize this time that they have with Zeratul down and no Void Prison and get some experience, they could maybe get to the point where they have 16 over their opponents at that point when that tribute spawns. So just guaranteeing a second curse. They need to be careful here. There's still a time when Brainpower could want to fight for this.
Yeah, they definitely could, and they're not afraid to. They've showed that nice juke there, not able to get the root.
No.
Yeah, double root, or excuse me, double juke. And we see there we go, Akaface and Michael Udall, best buds there from Arizona State.
Little BM coming out, friendly BM from the teams. But now both looking at some of their mercenary camps. Again, Falstad doing what he does best and sitting in a lane to soak. Actually, he was going back. Li Ming went back. So they don't have anybody soaking really at this, and that's allowing Brainpower to kind of keep in this. No 16, and this tribute spawning in a good spot for Brainpower.
Yeah, it does, and this is a moment where Gale Force doesn't necessarily have to fight. They can wait for even ground, and if things get rough, they already have Mighty Gust to be able to get there. As you said, it's kind of in a tough spot, but look at the damage they instantly get on Glauron.
There's a lot of shields here. Tassadar, Cawthon has been very busy pre-shielding everybody to get ready for this tribute fight. The lanes are fairly pushed. Maybe top they could go up, but that is a big gravity lapse. It hits two members, cleanse, gets Fury back out of there. He has used Avatar. Mighty Gust also has been used.
Well, the dive over with that friend or foe at level 4 allows Michael Udall to get to safety, but Glauron continuing the pursuit. There's the Void Prison. It's back again. Will they be able to get the follow-up? Look for the gravity lamps to come in there from Faye. Look at the damage coming out. Nice palm there, but not enough to save Falstad, as we do see. Gale Force very low. Metamorphosis trying to get Michael Udall out of there. Can they stay in pursuit? They are already mounted up, but no structure damage is going to allow them to get over. Nice follow-up, but not enough. A beautiful palm coming out there from Akaface.
They tried to do what they could after the Void Prison, making sure to stay alive, and the fact that they only lost one person is good, but Brainpower did such a great job of being able to split them apart, and Kael'thas, now that he has Sun King's Fury and Gravity Crush, is going to really start to put the hurt on for Gale Force.
Well, it's even talent tiers at 16. It's fairly even, but the first tribute finally picked up for Brainpower. Look for them to try and rotate this and get a curse of their own, because if they get a curse, it's probably because they're going to win a fight. And at this late in the game, they can really start to push down some structures, but 3 forts still stand for Gale Force.
Along with the Frost Presence that Sray picked up at 1, he did end up going for Trail of Frost, so that increases the range of Howling Blast and also hits everybody in the path. And Cursed Hollow has a lot of lines where people will end up being lined up. It's one reason that we saw Hinterland Blast a lot before Mighty Gust really became popular.
Well, Sray taking a bit of damage on that front line, not able to get that root, so the cooldown's not there, but nice hit there by Crowan. We talked about the power of Crowan on Li Ming, continuing to land those skill shots with the magic missiles. The fight's going to rage on here. This tribute is highly contested by Brainpower.
Void Prison is not up yet, just a few more seconds, and Gale Force know if they can maybe try to make something happen before they get to that point, but it is close. They have everything that they need to try to get into the fights right now. Here we go. The Divine Shield is out.
The Divine Shield is out. The fight is raging on as Akaface kind of isolated from his team. He does have the Radiant Dash to get back over. Is he looking to bait? A little bit of an isolation. Rafflecopter trying to stay alive. He tries to get the flight out, but he gets rid of the Divine Palm is in. Can they get the follow-up as Akaface? Could he pay for it? But they're turning this around. The Gravity Lab's in on Akaface. Isn't going to be enough for damage, but on the backside, Faye goes down. Michael Udall staying in deep. 2 members down for Brainpower. Michael Udall continuing to stay on. The 3rd member is down. Iacona trying to separate Kathleen to get away. Iacona going to be the next to fall. A huge win right now for Gale Force.
Man, Akaface playing out of his mind in that. And they get another kill. That is 4 only Tassadar up, and Gale Force have a curse.
They have a curse. This keep is low. Gilly, they have Illidan. This basically enables you to go directly to the core. They're rotating over. They are going for the win right now.
I think we're going to see a game number 3. It's going to be so difficult for Tassadar to do anything here, especially since their support is even still up at this point, and they have brought the core down to its health. Tassadar still shielding it up, but that will be it. Gale Force eSports bringing it back and taking us to game number 3.
Crowan doing his usual radar thing with Li Ming there as the game is over, but Gale Force showing why they're considered one of the favorites to join Naventic in Sweden. Coming back here, evening the series up 1-1.
I was terrified after that draft. I was really scared for Gale Force that they weren't going to be able to do that. They only had Karazim, but Akaface landed some great palms. They had Mighty Gust. They were able to make sure that they didn't lose too much and be able to keep fighting. In Gale Force now, they are both 1-1, and the next winner of this gets to go to the semifinals.
Well, we're taking a quick look back at what happened in game number 1 on the boss fight. So we saw, something that happened before and what happened in game 1. We'll probably get to game 2, but you can see this was game number 1 where Brainpower actually made a lot happen. Gale Force basically turned it around, and you can see here in game number 2, Gilly, they really start. This is where we called it. I mean, the bait there, it was beautiful.
Yeah, that bait was one of my favorite plays from this, but Akaface's palms, which hopefully we're going to get to see too. The synergy has always been there for Fury and Crowan, and especially no matter what warrior they're on, when Crowan gets Li Ming. I know that they did a lot with Dahaka too, with Drag and the Disintegrate. They have a lot of ability to make sure to call out those targets and instant switch to that.
Well, we see the Void Prison on the back end isolating, and you can see this is, I believe, is where the palm is going to come in. Look at that. Look right there. That is absolutely amazing. Akaface is an absolute playmaker.
Well, guys, we're going to go to a break, and when we return, we will see who is the winner between Brainpower and Gale Force eSports to go on to the semifinals.
We came to this world as exiles and outcasts. But together, we can be more. A weapon to break the chains of oppression. A bastion for the hunted and the lost. A family bound by blood and honor. And if our enemies do not give us peace, we will give them war! Victory or death! This I pledge as your war chief. Until the end of days, I live and die. For the Horde!
Welcome back to the North America Summer Regional number 2, where we are at the final game between Gale Force eSports and Brainpower. I was a little worried, you know, the draft in game number 2 after losing game 1 for Gale Force, but they were able to bring it back with great Divine Palms. Oh my gosh, the Palms.
The Divine Palms won that game. I don't care anything else that happened. Akaface won that game. I mean, yes, there's a team game and a lot happened, but those Divine Palms won the game. Those are incredible, Gilly.
Well, that means that we are ready for game number 3 and the draft is live. And the first thing I'll point out is that we are going to Blackheart's Bay.
And this is one of those maps where you can look for Gale Force to potentially be looking for an Asmodan. They are not afraid to run it. They're not shy about the fact that they're going to run it. And we're going to see if they try and pick it up early or if they try and wait till the second phase and if it gets banned out.
Well, Sonya and Illidan have both been banned, and Brainpower are going to first pick Tassadar. We've seen so much of that developing here in North America over this tournament, but Gale Force now have 2 picks. If they're going for Asmodan, it's tough. They're in that second pick position, so of course they would want to start getting things that would help him stack, but not give away too much. But if they do that, it'll be hard. First pick on Li Ming, though.
I mean, that is something that is a little bit interesting. I mean, if you're going to go Li Ming, it's not a bad pick. It's not always the first pick, but this has like poke potential and keeping it out of the hands of Faye, which they could possibly pick it up in their second, third pick. They're going to go ahead and pick it up for themselves.
Yeah, we just heard yesterday about Glaurung saying that an inter-team meta always develops for teams who play against each other a lot. And I think for this specific matchup, Li Ming is that inter-team meta. Also probably Illidan.
Yeah, Illidan for sure. Either one can play it. Making sure they actually secure Rhaegar this time around. They don't want to fall into the same trap that they might have fallen into last time.
Rhaegar can also help stack if you're going for the Asmodan, because he can throw down his totem with the Lightning Shield or just run in with the Lightning Shield too. Now, Anubarak, again, he's back for Brainpower and Kael'thas, so they're getting a lot of damage potential with him too.
Quite a bit. We're going to see how well they move this over. I mean, this is exactly what you would expect to see Brainpower out of their first 3 picks. Tassadar's been huge both days this weekend, and probably will be going forward. Anubarak's there for Srey once again. I'm really curious, will Brainpower ban Asmodan with this pick here?
I'm very curious about that too, but first, Gale Force has to choose what they want to ban. Could be a support, but with Brainpower having Tassadar, it's not necessarily, I was just going to say, I think more likely it's going to be Zeratul, and that is what they're going to ban out. They've said enough is enough, Glau. Void Prisons are way too influential of team fights.
The inter-meta is real, Gilly. I mean, I think this right here pretty much says it. Zeratul off the board. Brainpower, the power is in your hands. Take Asmodan off, or fear that it might be coming in.
The thing with Asmodan on Blackheart's Bay is it is so late game before you can get all of those stacks, and going to the late game is a huge risk on Blackheart's Bay. You're basically saying, why don't you get 4 turn-ins for free before we can even fight you for it?
It is very true, and it's something that it's like a risk versus reward, because you're left holding on to a lot of coins because you can't necessarily turn them in. And during qualifiers, we saw minor slip up. They were able to recover, so it's a little bit risky if you do want to go that route.
It is. Well, now they are starting. And another thing, too, is if they get Asmodan, it is Michael Udall who plays him. So
His
they
eyes
would
are
be getting.
fierce.
Yeah, man, this is it. The winner of this, they go on to play Astral. Yeah,
that's gotta be.
Johanna.
You don't pick Johanna if you're not going Asmodan.
There's no
Watch them fool us. Just kidding.
So there's no. They can leave it till last. They can get whatever they want in the next one.
What if Brainpower's like, we're just going to take him. We got Kael'thas. Can you imagine?
What if they did?
I mean, HotS can...
They are another team that's been playing him some, and they put Faye. Faye is usually the HotS player, though, and Faye also plays Asmodee. I don't know who would switch out. Obviously, be Cawthon playing the other one. Or, well, I guess Glaurung can also play Asmo. He used to. So that's how they could do that. I don't know.
They're taking quite a bit of time. They're either deciding...
I think they're just like, do we get it now or do we get it last?
Yes, I think that's 100%. I feel like they almost have to have somebody. Thrall's still on the board. Sonya's still available. I got a question. Is that somebody we want to go with? They went ahead and locked it in. Asmodee hype is real.
Oh, this is so exciting. We get to once again see, most likely, Michael Udall try to make the dunks. It's also just cool just to see Asmodee for Michael Udall because he can wear.
I was going to say, will he be wearing the
Arizona skin tint?
Well, very quick to go ahead and pick up Greymane and Uther is Brainpower. Now, Gale Force, do they decide to help supplement that front line to pair up with Johanna, or are they going to try something else here? I mean, they have a lot on the board still to basically pair, but Asmodee basically fits a very specific role with Johanna. Or are they going to try and rotate somebody with him?
So the rotations will happen between mid and top on Blackheart's Bay because those lanes are so close together. They need somebody they can trust to sit in the bottom lane.
Well, they took quite a bit of time locking in Asmodee, maybe deciding, maybe they used up their time to basically try and decide on their last pick. They're so undecided so far, and Sylvanas, double specialist. They are looking to get every bit of value they can out of those cannonballs when and if they're able to turn them in.
And I don't think they're going to do this, but there was this one game at Vegas where Complexity pulled out an Asmodee and didn't even pick Taste for Blood. They didn't stack. They instead went for Sieging Wrath, or no, Master of Destruction, I think is what they picked at one, where your All Shall Burn does more damage to structures. Yeah. And they just were this pushing machine with Asmodee. I don't think they're going to do that, but the double specialist makes me kind of wonder what they're doing.
Yeah, go with what you know, and I think that's something we're going to see. You don't pick up Johanna if you're probably not going to stack.
That's
it's just
true,
a matter
that's
of...
True.
I mean, who's going to help secure it? Is it going to be Sylvanas solo bottom lane? They just do a 4-1 rotation and help Rhaegar, Li Ming help secure? Because, I mean, they have to be efficient. Like, you can... If you're going Asmodee at this level of competition, you have no room for error on your dunks, on your stacking, all the way around. You have to play Asmodee as well as he can possibly be played.
They need to make sure that they don't get caught and get extra far behind. They're already going to be playing at a deficit in the early game, and there is a lot of ways that Brainpower can find picks against Gale Force. They have a Nubarak with stuns, they have HotS with stuns, and a lot of damage with Greymane. But here we go, guys, with game number 3. Fury will be playing Johanna, Rafflecopter, Sylvanas, Michael Udall playing Asmodee, and Akaface playing Rhaegar, and Crowan playing Li Ming, and that's going to be Gale Force eSports.
And on the other side, it's going to be Brainpower, and that is going to be Faye on HotS once again. Cawthon Luck on Tassadar, Iacona on Uther, Srey on Anubarak, and Glaurung on Greymane.
Let's get excited because here we go in game number 3 on Blackheart's Bay.
Look at that skin, Gilly. He is representing right there.
I'm going to pull up the talents and just make sure, just confirm what it is, and that is. So the stacking will be commencing soon.
Yeah, I'm just really curious to see this rotation. Obviously, if you're Brainpower, if it's Tomb of the Spider Queen, you can kind of step into a lane and basically kind of disrupt the whole rotation. But Blackheart's Bay is a completely different animal, and we're already seeing a little bit of strategy coming out from Brainpower.
Guys, we still have a poll, so you can vote and tell us who you think is going to win. Looking like a lot of people still favoring Brainpower, J-How.
I mean, for what it's worth, they came back a little bit. So maybe game 2 sold people. All I got to say is I'm really curious to see how many people are still on Brainpower. I want to see the results of that.
They are not giving away their positioning at all, but the Watchtower is grabbed, and they don't know where they're at. I like that they send a lot of people bot. I think maybe knowing that Sylvanas is going, has to be that solo laner, and wanting to make sure that if they send more with her, they can't get any free structures.
Well, they're going to recognize that they're going to send Glaurung and Faye to go ahead and rotate bottom. Rafflecopter realizes he has company. Shadow Dagger, a little bit, but he is going to have his hands full if he decides to rotate down with him.
The dunks have started, and it'll be a slow burn to the point that they start one-shotting. And the first chests have started as it's 50 seconds. Brainpower is going to get all of them from the tops. Meanwhile, it's Sylvanas versus 2, so Brainpower set this up perfectly. They get all of the doubloons. potentially. That bottom one's still for grabs.
I mean, Gil, you talked about it in the fact that they're going to be playing from a deficit. Rafflecopter has Greymane running all over him. But playing from a deficit, I don't think that you necessarily anticipate to have the first shots right away, because they're probably not going to contend. They probably can't contend.
Usually what you see is you have a 1v1 in the bottom, and I think maybe they thought that they could take the top one, but they were slower to the chest, they being Gale Force eSports. They were slower to the chest, and Brainpower changed it up by sending 2 to the bottom. So now they have lost all 10 doubloons, and that's not a good start to Blackheart's Bay.
You know, taking a look at Anubrak, you got to remember sometimes, Li Ming, those beetles actually is blocked.
They do.
And that's one of the more
point.
interesting things. I actually saw it there. I was like, wait a minute, they missed one? No, actually, that's a beetle there. As Saray trying to stay on point, trying to get a little bit of control of vision right now as Gale Force. They're going to grab it at least momentarily.
Now, Croman might have to get creative with his positioning to try to make sure those orbs can hit the people he's wanting to hit.
Yeah, you can see he's trying to flank down. There he comes. A nice body block by Saray. Fury in a lot of trouble. Takes a lot of damage. That's going to be first death there on Johannes. The rest of the team very low as well. Akape's having to retreat back.
This is exactly what Brainpower need to do. Slow down the stacking from Gale Force. It's what you always see, is trying to find heroes who can secure those early kills and slow that down. And it's a big deal that they got Johanna. Even though they don't take out Asmodan, they still get his big stacking buddy.
Well, looking to get another turn in here is Faye, trying to get rid of those 5 coins. On Kel'Thas, that's not necessarily who you want to be roaming around with it. Kel'Thas has potential to be blown up. But going ahead and get that turn in. Rafflecopter continuing to face off against Calvin down here in the bottom lane. Sylvanas versus Tassadar.
And the rotations are back and forth between top and mid too. We've resumed the stacking as another dunk goes out. Trying to help make sure that they do die within that 1.5 seconds that's needed to in order to account for the stacks. Try to help make sure that we can keep up with how many stacks that he has.
Yeah, we'll keep an eye on that as they continue to dunk along. And you can see the first wave of, or the first cannonballs are finally going to be out here, and it's basically easy mode right now for Brainpower. They have the experience advantage. They have the cannonballs. They're going to give them even more experience as they start to take down some of these structures, or at least do damage to set up more potential waves. And we're just seeing right now a very relaxed play from Gale Force. They are fully committed to the late game.
They have to be at this point. So with the first turn in and hitting that mid fort, looking at the stacks, he's now at 118 bonus damage, and of course the max is 500 that we're trying to get to. Brainpower starting to get ahead too with the kill and also the damage, or the structures they've been able to take out, even securing this fort in mid, making sure that they don't waste any more shots in that middle lane.
I love the fact that they're countering everything that Gale Force is trying to accomplish, in the sense that they recognize that, hey, we know exactly where you're rotating, we know what cycle you're on, so we're just going to push right in. They went and took down that fort with no hesitation and no defense.
Uther has picked up Boundless Conviction at level 4, increasing the width and the length of Fully Radiant by 40%, I believe. And that is going to help make sure that if he is kind of further in the back, he still can reach both Greymane and Anubrak, especially if Greymane starts to go really deep in those fights.
Which, that is what Greymane is known for, but keep in mind, Asmodan has a very high health pool, so we'll see how well that plays off and whether he tries to go after Li Ming, but Rafflecopter just barely able to stay alive. Tassadar Poke not able to help secure that. But that is a fear that Rafflecopter should be very much well aware of.
They're still trying to just keep up with those rotations. There are 2 doubloons, 8 have been grabbed, so Gale Force was at least making sure to control their jungle, their mercenary camps, and they are getting more aggressive with this fight, trying to make sure that the Brainpower don't run away with a lot, but still, even still, they get quite a few off of that.
Saray bodied his way in, burrowed his way out. Beautiful play right there by Saray and Anubrak. And the experience lead continuing to grow just a little bit here, Gilly.
And Cawthon was able to get that bottom doubloon chest. So whereas we were almost to the point where Gale Force could get a turn in, they still have that, but Brainpower is well on their way to their second one to start bringing down that top lane.
Well, another update, guys. We're 5 minutes in. That's 174 stacks right now. That is huge for this early in the game. But again, it's not a matter of if you get it and how you get it. It's a matter of what you do with it.
It's definitely not bad. They're doing pretty well with this, for sure. They've only lost Johanna once. They've been keeping up with that. They haven't lost too many of the doubloons. 2 turn-ins is rough, but generally, as long as you get to max and haven't lost keeps, that's an okay point that you will be in with an Asmodan composition.
Level 10 very close for Brainpower. I'm curious if they're actually going to try and force the fight upon Gale Force. They have no middle fort to fall back to, so if they catch them in rotation and just time it, they can basically force them in an open area, and that would work out really well for Brainpower. Level 10 picked up, Gilly.
Yeah, great point. And potentially they're not going to have a top fort either, because they're getting another turn in. And that's going to start hitting up there at the top. Top is also a really great one to be able to take out, because if you can get the lane pushed there, you can more easily try to sneak a boss on this map.
Yeah, it's one of the control points. Both top and bottom have advantages. Obviously, the bottom, you have more camps pushing. The top, you have a boss. But you can see an all-out assault from Brain Power. A level and a half lead and growing. When will we see Gale Force? I mean, Gilly, 220 stacks for Asmodan. When do we see them start to push back a little?
Once he gets Blackpool, oh, Rafflecopter's going to go down here. Glowworm getting pretty aggressive, and I like that they have done this since they have heroic abilities, trying to bring down more structures and getting more out of each and every turn-in. But once Michael Udall gets Blackpool, then he can start stacking really by himself. It's up to that point that he has to have the buddy in Johanna, and from that, then they can start looking to get a little bit more aggressive. It's always a really weird timing for teams who go for these Asmodan compositions. When do you stop going for stacks and start going for the fight, but so you don't get further behind?
7 minutes in, 242 stacks, almost halfway there. But as you talked about, the Blackpool is helping them clean them up. Now it only requires Johanna and a Nubrak, while the rest of the team grabbing a siege camp at the bottom and trying to focus on the doubloon camps.
But it still means that they're going to be fairly split up. Stray just walks in, again, bodying his way in, and then going to be able to burrow charge his way back out. I love that saying. That's an amazing saying.
He is out of there, but he is under assault. Blasted Shield has land. The dunk comes in, Gilly. The dunk lands.
5 doubloons that Stray just gave to Gale Force, and they walk right to Blackheart to turn those in. They don't want to be holding too many, and this is the point where they could start to come back in this. And J-How, I really don't see Brain Power having done maybe enough in this game.
I'm afraid you're right. It's still not out of control. Greymane can change a fight. Li Ming goes down. What does the rest of the team do? It requires Asmodan to land shots. On the back end, you're not necessarily going to take down Tassadar. Kel'Thas is going to be your primary target. But is there a follow-up as we see the Iron Skin being used? Fury going to get out of there, but the return poke once again from Li Ming.
But this exact thing happened on Blackheart's Bay with Gale Force versus Astral at DreamHack. And it was Li Ming plus Asmodan, and the damage is so much to deal with, even with double support. I don't know, especially as these stacks continue to climb. We're at 300.
I mean, it's just amazing play. When I see games like this, especially against Asmodan comps, you're getting good value, you have the experience lead, your structures are looking good, but it's almost like you're playing with fool's gold in the sense that, yes, it looks good, but here in a minute, it's going to look a lot worse.
Right. There is not enough for a turn-in on either side. The aggression's happening in the bottom lane because Brain Power, no, they have 13, they have that advantage, and they also have the advantage of Asmodan not being there. And the chest spawning, Asmo has started to run to the top one. He's going to try to burn that down and steal those away before the rotations can come in from Brain Power.
Yeah, nice call there. He should be able to get those coins. Only 4 coins on the side of Brain Power. Nubrak starting to rotate up. Remember, he's got the body, he's got the burrow, but he's all alone. We're going to see what that means, Michael Udall. He recognizes, again, no fort in the bottom. Jukes of the Impale there. He's going to go ahead and rotate back, try and have some cannons at his back. But he's being rotated on, and this fort is very low.
Labs. There it is, there's damage. He's gonna go down. He's got a big health pool, but still that's 5 doubloons.
I mean, he was looking for anywhere to retreat, and he had nowhere to go. Asmodan got caught out, and recognizing that this is one of the bigger maps, they take the fort at the bottom, but if they stay bottom, Gilly, this is a boss.
They're
in
gonna
the
push.
top.
They have Sylvanas. They're probably gonna push.
What?
I don't know if they know for sure what they want. They're gonna grab the Giants and maybe go with that too, but this is still valuable time.
You could get far more damage out of a push with Sylvanas as opposed to waiting for Giants. They're completely unaware right now, but they're about to find out. That boss is going to be grabbed any second now.
And it's going to go straight to keep structures. They're going to turn in doubloons at least. If they can get a turn in, then that's at least making sure that they don't get into a situation where they lose continually these coins over and over to Brain Power. But still, at some point, the defense has to come in.
Rafflecopter taking quite a bit of damage. There's the Holy Radiance getting that extra damage from the range from Uther. It's even hurting. You can see under assault they are on even talent tiers, but a Nubrak coming over. He's trying to interrupt. He's got the team split. The Wailing Arrow goes under the back, but Li Ming going to be the first to fall. Divine Shield has been used. The return damage, takes down Tessiner. Akape's in a lot of trouble as we see the burrow in. Ancestral lands, but Akape's gonna pay for it.
He knew he was going to go down, and he healed Fury back up so at least one of them could get away. They have some single target damage. This is Michael Udall. All Shall Burn can start working down this boss. But Glaurung is stealing the Giants in the bottom. They're trying to continue this aggression and trying to make sure that they stay just one step ahead of Gale Force at all times.
Well, they're not losing a lot to the boss, but that does set up more structure damage being pushed against Gale Force, meaning those cannonballs will continue to put pressure on. You have to be very careful giving up so much. They committed to the turn-in, they got caught out, and that boss actually got a lot more value than we would have thought originally.
I did like the idea, though, getting a turn-in to make sure that there's not a turn-in plus the boss being done. So at least they can get some structures back, help them out with their experience to get caught back up. 366 stacks now for Michael Udall. So he's trying. He's just trying to get that 500 point, but they have to not get caught out here.
Oh, Rafflecopter with the double wave. They're able to get out of danger. The dunk not able to land, basically warding everybody off out of there. But nice play there by Rafflecopter to stay alive. That was a scary moment.
That was very scary for them. But now 16 is here for Brainpower with the Executioner on Greymane. I want to try to check out his stacks too, as the Glaurung has been stacking up. There he is. With Wizened Duelist, he's up at 5 takedowns, which means an additional 15% attack damage with the Wizened Duelist. So that's going to start to get even scarier if they keep getting picks like this.
Well, we saw what happened to Li Ming the minute Greymane hopped on, and of course they don't have a ton of heal to be able to get off of that, especially when you look at Sylvanas and Li Ming in that back line. I mean, somebody's going to be under assault, and you've got to be very careful. But rotating down, at least to try and check the turn-in, keep an eye on stuff. I'm really curious. Gale Force potentially setting up for a little bit of a party push-ish, maybe?
Yeah, they don't have that many doubloons to turn in, but they don't have, Brainpower doesn't have enough to get a complete turn-in. So I guess they are just trying to see if maybe they can steal some of these away. Gravity Lapse goes out, and Iron Skin's used pretty early in this fight.
Very early, the dunk comes in. Look at the amount of damage it did to Glaurung on that backside. Wailing Arrow doesn't secure the kill. It almost takes down Glaurung, but straight in, very deep. Fury trying to ward them off. Rafflecopter being caught out. The cleanse is out. Will the Ancestral land? It does land to keep him alive, and they're continuing to try and poke Stray, having to burrow out. Very low right now is Brainpower, and they're continuing the assault. Rafflecopter going in, but the return Gravity Lapse takes down Sylvanas, Gilly.
Oh, Sylvanas is down, but Glaurung is going to fall right behind him, and that's a bunch of doubloons just given over to Gale Force. Do they have another dunk? Looks like he's going to mount up. They have finished that, and Faye runs away. Oh!
Is the dunk going to land? Oh! Gilly! The dunk is real!
Awesome! 3 kills for only 1. Gale Force steal doubloons, they steal Giants, and the chests have just spawned Jay Howe. I know.
Wow. Wow, 416 stacks.
We were just jumping up and down.
That is the dunk of the game, and that could be a huge turning point. They're starting to catch up in experience. They were able to collect those doubloons. They are sitting on 20 right now, Gilly.
Yeah, I think it just came down to, like I said before, Brainpower not dealing enough damage to stop Gale Force. You have to deal irreparable damage before they get to this point, and now they have double support, but if they can't get a kill and fast, those dunks and the poke damage from Li Ming are just going to eat away at the health bars of Brainpower.
Every single step is leading to this late game. 14 minutes in, 472 stacks. It's about to get real.
Yeah, once he stops stacking too, literally just dunks for days on structures and heroes. He no longer cares about minions. Brainpower have to be scared at that point.
Very scared. The experience almost even. The race to 20 is on. We're going to see how many doubloons. I don't think they have enough for another turn-in, but they're continuing to put the pressure on the map, trying to work around here. 498 stacks. We can basically consider the quest done. What are they going to do with it?
Also, being able to take out Greymane's a really big win for them too, in that sense, because they took out the Wizened Duelist stacks, and now we are here, 500 bonus damage. Taste for Blood is complete.
Asmodance is, I'm good. I'm just going to go home. I'm good.
He stays alive, and he's ready to throw out the dunks. You're just cautiously moving back and forth. Sharks circling in the water, trying to find somebody caught out.
12 doubloons, for Gale Force, 8 for Brainpower, and we're basically even on the number of turn-ins. And the amount of structures is basically identical. The kills, not so much, but I imagine this is about to get real exciting real quick. Gale Force with the experience lead now.
Yeah, and the big deal is they took out the first keep. So they know that their lanes will be pushing, and it's Brainpower who has to be realizing that they're going to be hitting catapults at their core if they take too long in these big fights.
Now, Brainpower's on the boss. Are they going to stay on it? Asmodan starting to rotate up. Gilly, this could decide the game.
They might be trying to pull them up because they know Gale Force is ahead in experience. They're just trying to bait them up to make sure that they can get to a fight, not let Gale Force get to 20 before that point. But you heard the dunk came out, and I'm pretty sure it was just to clear the wave in mid, and with that, their experience bar jumped way up, now almost grabbing their Storm talents.
Yeah, we should see the next dunk get them 20, and that allows them to help try and force the fight. Will we see an engagement here as Fury going in deep?
Here we go. Fury is looking for it. They want to start this off right away before Brainpower can get to 20 and pick up their Storm talents of their own. A big dunk, and FaZe health bar just goes straight to half.
I mean, that is scary. And you got to think, Uther's heals are not that quick. And obviously, the dunks come a little bit late. But if you can get the proper follow-up, you're going to be looking for the kills and looking to put the pressure on. Brainpower a little bit split. The dunk is there. Strike getting stunned up, but the D-shield is in. The return impale is going to force them off just a little bit.
He used Divine Shield, but then also Locust Swarm, and the fight didn't really continue. So that's now down for a really long time, and that is a lot of Stray's ability to continue into fights. Another dunk, and hello, Faye!
Hey, let me have half of your health, please.
Oh, if there was ever a reason for hardened focus, it is right now. Uther is being taxed severely.
Oh, Glaurung, we do see the Oracle coming out to basically identify the dunk is there. The Wailing Arrow, can they get the follow-up? As we see Rafflecopter getting very aggressive with his Haunting Waves, trying to get in position, continue to do damage, but FaZe starting to rotate over. Look for the huge follow-up from the Gravity
Black
Lapse.
is ready.
Oh, this is tense, Gilly.
Oh, big mirror ball hits a lot of members. Here comes the dunk. Glaurung gets shielded up and stays alive, and this might be the chance for them to try to get into a big fight and take people down.
Got a lot. The Heroics are out. Nice burrow in. Fury in very deep. Can we get a return dunk? The Gravity Lapse misses. Indestructible in for Fury, but the dunk isn't going to be able to secure the Ancestral is landing, Gilly. This is huge. Michael Udo under full assault, but down goes Raymond. Will Michael Udo survive? Living Bomb explodes, takes down Asmodan.
But one for a complete team wipe. Uther's going to come back up, and they're watching for it. A perfectly timed condemn, and down goes Uther again.
And in the bottom lane, the camps have been pushing this entire time, opening up the lane, and Gale Force has game in mind as they are rotating. Gilly, I think this might be it.
I think we are about to see Gale Force race across and take game number 3 to move on to the semifinals. Health bar is still a little bit low, but nothing is standing in the way here. 30 seconds until anybody is back up. This is going to be it, J-How.
I mean, this is the Asmodan strategy. The Asmo dunk is real. Gilly, you called it from the minute the draft started. Late game is where it's at, and they absolutely showed why they love Asmodan on this map.
The GGs, the spinning pro-in, and Gale Force eSports moves on to the semifinals.
An absolutely incredible comeback from the first game for Gale Force, able to secure the kill. Just an absolute terror in those last 2 games. I am thoroughly impressed by Gale Force right now.
Yeah, it was amazing play, and it really came down to just knowing exactly what they needed to do to execute the style. Brainpower, obviously they know how to deal with Asmodan. They have Asmodan players. It's something that we've seen from them before, but they just couldn't get enough done early on to counteract what was about to happen to them in the late game.
I mean, the dunk there on Glaurung, forcing back the Wailing Arrow, almost secured that kill. But this is where things got really crazy because they are pushing in. The dunks in return, Ancestral just landing. But look at that. Smiles on both sides. Brainpower showed very well, Gilly. They're not done yet.
No, they are absolutely not done. They will go on to the Deciders match and face the winner of the next match, which is between Cloud9 and Team Name Change. But Astral Authority is the one who's waiting for Gale Force eSports now. So we're going to get a rematch from DreamHack Austin in that match, which will be tomorrow.
I mean, the dunks, here it comes. This one just,
Boom!
I lost my mind. That was just beautiful.
We were jumping up and down. That was such an awesome dunk. But yeah, 3 people down. The damage, they tried to mitigate it as much as they could, right? They had hardened focus on Uther. They had Tassadar shielding. They had storm shields. But in this last fight here, the storm shielding from Rhaegar was just as important. This is the point that they could have tried to get the fight, but it was just enough shielding to turn it around. But guys, it's time to hear from our victors, Gale Force eSports.
Alrighty, guys, I'm Solid Jake here with Michael Udall. Congratulations, man. Let's talk first about game number 1. Now, game number 1, you guys were against that early pick of Nubarak. We saw that a lot yesterday from them versus C9, but they also had the Zera tool, and it seemed to work really well.
Yeah, I mean, props to COG. They had a comp that pretty much no one else runs. Like Glorong plays a really good Zera tool, so he's really good to noob. But I mean, I'm pretty sure they had Leeming, if my brain remembers correctly, and the Leeming was just destroying us. Because I thought it was like, yo, we can outpoke them, but then the Leeming was just absolutely demolishing our team because they had double heal. So that first game was really rough, but like, I'm really happy the team came back and rebounded, and we were able to win those last 2 games.
So how important do you think the actual Nubarak ban in game 2 was for you guys?
Well, I mean, I think we isolated Sray's champion pool because we banned the Anub and then we banned the ETC, and I know those are his 2 most comfortable tanks. So I think it was huge. I think it was really, really big.
All right, going into game number 3, I gotta say it was pretty darn obvious what you guys are going for. The Anub, the Asmodan composition. You guys have become almost, well known for that at this point. So are you just like not afraid that teams can respond to that?
Well, I mean, Blackheart's Bay, that's like one of our best maps, so I don't know why they let it through, but guess they did, and they paid the price.
Alrighty, man. Well, congrats on advancing to the playoffs, and good luck there. Alrighty, friends. Well, that's going to do it for this matchup, but we have 2 more coming up, so we'll be back in just a few more moments. Stay tuned.